Some of these folks are making most of their money or made most of their money from selling the information, not from actually doing the thing that they're teaching in the program. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Financial Freedom Fastlane. And remember, the quicker you get to your dream life, the longer you get to live it. And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about fake gurus online, our course creators, scammers, everything in between. So this is a topic that I feel like is pretty prevalent because now there's no shortage of people teaching you how to trade the stock market, build an Amazon store, a Shopify store, and just be an expert or do something in some capacity, right? And I feel like it's been around for a while, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We'll get to that in today's episode. But what I do think is that we saw an emergence of this at the height of COVID, right? Because what happened is people were at home. They were learning a lot more information. They knew people were seeking out more information, and more people, I think, decided to step into the intellectual property game and create ebooks, courses, digital products. And quite frankly, people were trying to diversify their businesses. Maybe they had a brick and mortar business, maybe they had a service-based business, and they saw firsthand that COVID, right, could, or just anything for that matter, could disrupt your business. And so I think we saw an explosion of the online education space in 2020, right? And so I want to give my perspective on it and also give you guys some insights that you can leverage to discern when going about trying to hire or work with the guru, right, if you will. And just, some general context on how to think about it, because I don't think that it's all bad, but it's definitely not all good. And I want to get into it today. All right, so let's think about it from this lens, right? The idea of paying for education isn't new, right? Many of us did probably go to public school, which that was free, right? But eventually, if you decide to go to college, then you pay tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to gain access to curriculum, to get a major in a particular program or track. But you weren't necessarily guaranteed success, right? You were able to get loans to be able to acquire that education, but ultimately there were no fundamental guarantees. And that's been going on for centuries, right? However long the institutions of college have been around. But I think where people started to kind of get a little, discontent about it is that when you think about it, oftentimes the people teaching you the information have not necessarily executed on the thing that they're teaching you, right? Because if they had, maybe they wouldn't be in a classroom earning what they're earning, right? In theory, right? Some of them may have had some real world experiences. Some of them might just really like teaching. But I think where some of the challenges came from is this person is teaching me this. I get no guarantee or assurances that this is even going to translate into me being able to, get a job in the marketplace. But I'm paying tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes over six figures in loans to learn from someone who may or may not even done it themselves. And so now you're seeing, again, the emergence of, everyday people who have acquired the skill set, supposedly, who have done the work, and now they're packaging up their intellectual property to sell it to you and I. Let's start with what is the not so bright spots of the online course creation and just digital, marketing arena, right? Number one is that, unfortunately, you have a lot of people who have not necessarily mastered a skill, and they are packaging up other people's information that they've acquired, and now they're selling it, right? And the problem with that is the whole reason why, we like this decentralized education, I think is the proper term to call it, is that it gave us the opportunity to learn from people who are actually doing it. But when people see others online, like, man, they're running up a bag making digital courses online, then what happens is they then just try to go find somebody else's course, regurgitate and recreate the information, and then package up and sell it, right? And that's wrong for several reasons. One, because you're probably stealing somebody else's IP. Two, because you don't even practice what you're preaching and might not know exactly what you're teaching. And the reason why that's problematic is because in every scenario, there's always nuances, right? It's like, what could work for one person might not work for another person. What might work in theory might not work in practical application. And when you don't have that context because you haven't actually done it, that becomes problematic. So the first issue I have with online educators is that a lot of them are repackaging information that they're not experts in and selling it to other people. The other problem that I have with online course creators is they're not giving the full story and it lacks context. So what you see in many situations is you'll see somebody online, and we've all seen it now. It's like they'll point, you can do this, they'll show you how you can do it, but they're not really giving the full context. And so what happens is you get attracted to the shiny ball or the idea of what's possible without ever realizing exactly what it takes. Now, I'm not saying their job is to go through every ache, pain, or reality that comes with owning that particular business. But what I do expect is that they equip you with the information to give you the full scope and full context, so you don't think it's just gonna be all a bed of roses, chilling on the beach, sipping your favorite drink while the money comes in, right? And I think that's how a lot of it is positioned, because it's easier to sell. It's almost like the age-old adage of you sell the vacation, you don't sell the travel experience, right? You sell, hey, you're gonna be on the beach, sipping Mai Tais, getting massages. That's what you sell. You don't sell the travel experience of having to go through TSA and the airport and the flight delays, or lost baggage. Like you don't sell that, because people might get deterred and might not want to do it, right? But I think it's very important, and it lacks integrity when someone doesn't give you the full scope and really only emphasizes on the possibilities, not even the guarantees, but the possibilities. That's one of the biggest things that I see as an issue in the online guru space. All right, here's probably my biggest pet peeve. Some of these folks are making most of their money, or made most of their money, from selling the information, not from actually doing the thing that they're teaching in the program, right? Now, here's the thing. I'll be the first to say, I think it makes so much sense if you become great at something to then educate other people on how to do it, right? Because you can have a lot of impact that way. You can reach more people. And as a business owner, it's infinitely more scalable, right? But it's one thing to have done it and had phenomenal results. It's another thing to not have really gotten those results and most of your money come from the course sales. It's almost like I saw this book. It said How to Be a Scammer 101, or it was like a caption or something. And the book was like, buy my book for $1 and I'll show you how to sell books online, make $100,000 or something like that, right? And the book is basically just going to be about how you got people to give you $1. And so obviously that's a joke and an extreme example, but the concept and the context holds true, right? Here's what gets me. Here's a way that you can really determine if somebody is practicing what they preach. So one of the biggest things out right now, or has been for a while, is like Amazon automation, where you can start your own Amazon store, or you can pay somebody to do it for you, right? Now, Amazon has its own integrated e-commerce platform, as we all know and love, because we all use Amazon probably every single week. You can check out right on Amazon, right? And anybody that sells on Amazon, there's a platform that you can use as well. I actually started an Amazon FBA store. I'll actually tell you about that story on another video. But they have their own e-commerce platform, right? That you can log into, see all your transaction history, etc., right? So does Shopify. Shopify is one of the most popular e-commerce platforms. So if someone's teaching you how to start a brand on Amazon or start a brand on Shopify, but they're showing you Stripe screenshots, which is a payment processor that most people use for a lot of things, namely for people who sell courses, they use it to process their payments, right? Why, if you're telling me how successful you are in Amazon or Shopify automation or whatever the case may be, why are you showing me Stripe screenshots? The math isn't mathing. What they're showing you is their course sales, which dramatically outpace any of the sales that they had in Amazon or Shopify, right? Or quite frankly, they maybe never had any sales on Amazon or Shopify. And that's a big red flag for me. It's like, that makes no sense. You're teaching me how to make money on Amazon, but you're showing me screenshots from the platform where you sell your courses. I know it's gonna step on a lot of people's toes, but that's the facts, right? But if you're true to who you are, you're not a scammer, I'm sure you'd have no problem. The same way you're showing those Stripe screenshots, you shouldn't have any problem showing the Shopify screenshots, right? And while we're on the vein of screenshots, and I wasn't even originally gonna add this in, going back to context, it's like, also talk about the profit. Talk about the money that you're actually making net after, right? All of the expenses, all of the ads, all the things that you have to pay for. Because again, you're luring people in. You can make $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month. in gross revenue, sure. But how much of that is profit? And again, these aren't bad things. I just think when you lead with that, you understand what is attracting people. And then when they get into it, they're like, whoa, this isn't what I signed up for. Most people are okay with the ebbs and flows and the challenges that are associated with the things they want to do, because most of us understand that there's no free lunches and things aren't easy, right? We just need to do, or I should say, creators need to do a better job of being honest and intentional and upfront about what it actually takes to be successful if they've indeed achieved success themselves. All right, so now let's talk about some of the good things, right, that I personally like about people who have decided to step out of their comfort zone and teach people what they know, right? Someone like myself has paid hundreds of thousands of dollars on becoming the person that I am, right? Through conferences, courses, personal development, mentors, training, and just hours and hours of time on the battlefield doing the work that I do. And for me, I know about the highs, I know about the lows, I know about the challenges that are associated with doing that thing, right? So effectively, it can become a really, really big win-win for both the course creator or whatever it is that you sell and the person who is seeking that information, because instead of you having to spend the same decade plus time or all the money that I've spent doing it, right? You can spend a fraction of that on whatever the cost of the intellectual property is to acquire that same knowledge. Not to mention, it's going to be distilled and refined down, because out of all the books I've read, all the masterminds I've joined, all the coaching programs, the courses, just like anything else, right? You're not going to need 100% of what comes from that information or that access, right? There's a few key things that really move the needle. And so what people like me are able to do is take those key things and give you the most potent version of what you need in order to be successful, which inherently is going to expedite your learning curve, right? So that is one of the really great things about hiring a coach, hiring a mentor, buying a course, buying books. And keep in mind, like, you can do this within your budget, right? So like, if someone is a person that you've deemed expert, or someone that knows what they're doing in a lane that you want to learn, do they have a book that they wrote? Most books are less than $40, right? Most of them are in the $10 to $20 range. So maybe you start with the book. Do they have a course? Most courses are going to be anywhere from a couple $100, maybe even less, all the way up to $1,000 or so, right? Then that person might have a mentorship. Then they might have a one-on-one service. So you can start right at an entry level standpoint. And if you're getting value from that, chances are the more you move up the ladder, the more value you're going to get, right? So that's another thing too. Don't just try to jump to the end of the line, right? If you're still trying to figure out like, okay, is this a good fit for me? Start with their free information. Like, I have a podcast that airs every single week and has aired every single week since August of 2021. Not to mention my previous podcast has 117 episodes before we launched the Melanin Money Show. And now, of course, we have Financial Freedom Fastlane, which also airs every single week. This is all free. So if you're getting value from this, right, the light bulb should go off like, okay, well, if George offers a course or offers a subscription or offers some type of offering, there's probably going to be more value in that as well, right? Not that I'm withholding value there. It just gives me a chance to go deeper, right, in the value that I want to provide. So start, if that person has any entry level offer, start there, get value from that. If you are getting value from that, that's probably a key indicator that you'll get value at a higher level. If you're not getting value from the ebook or from the free stuff, chances are you're not going to get that much value from the paid stuff for one or two reasons, right? One, a wise man once told me that the sun shines brightest early in the morning, meaning if it's not shining right now, it's not going to get no brighter. If the content is not good now, it probably isn't going to get any better. Number two, if a person is withholding so much information just so they can force you into their program, that means they don't know enough, right? I can give away so much information for free because I know that I'm committed to learning and I already know so much, right? So I can give away my greatest stuff for free and still have plenty to give you. So those are some key things that you can distinguish. Like, a person can't go every 2 minutes without saying, click the link in my bio, subscribe, enter your name and the email here. Chances are, right, most of their value, if they have any, lies within that program and doesn't lie within inside of who they actually are as a person. Another reason or another thing that's really good about online education, mentors, coaches, etc., is that there becomes a point in time when fulfillment supersedes the money. right? It's like you made the money, but at some point it's like, man, I just want to help inspire, impact other people, right? Because if it was just about money, look how many people could have stopped playing the game a long time ago. But they like inspiring people. They do it for the love of the game. They want to be the best at their craft, right? Especially now, like in the podcast and the media space, it's just like music, right? Everybody wants to climb the charts. We want to be seen. And the way that you're able to be seen is you're able to impact other people's lives. That's the selfish reason. The other reason is that at the end of the day, if you went through any real struggle to get to where you got to, you know what it feels like when you got that aha moment, when you got that moment of like, man, I finally got it. And to be able to give that feeling to somebody else in a much likely faster time period is very fulfilling and very rewarding. So everybody that's out here teaching isn't scamming, right? They just truly want to see you win, because at the end of the day, they know what it's like to feel like they're losing, right? So that is one of the best things about people who have decided to package up their intellectual property, because someone like myself who has a financial planning firm, whereas as of this recording, we are weeks away from actually putting up a wait list and kind of closing our doors, right? And making it invitation only on the firm side, just because of some of the things we're able to do on the education side, right? And everybody's not going to be able to work with us in a one-on-one capacity, right? But that doesn't stop me from wanting to impact as many people as possible, which is why I do this show, which is why I do the Melanin Money Show, which is why I create hundreds and thousands of posts online for you guys, so that regardless if you can afford my services or not, you can tap in to the valuable information that I have to give you, right? And you got to understand that the people who really care about this, that is what they care about, right? It's not about the money. They care about being able to impact as many people as possible. And as a result, it creates this mutually beneficial feeling of like, man, I feel good knowing that I was able to help inspire and impact somebody else, right? And one of the most important benefits is that you get to learn from somebody who's actually done it, right? Most of your professors in college, as smart as they were, right, a lot of what they were teaching was theory, right, based upon their interpretation and understanding of the information. And I'm not saying that information is invaluable. I'm not saying you can't learn from someone who hasn't done it. I'm just saying that it hits different when you know you are learning from someone who's actually done the thing that you're trying to do. And oftentimes, and if it's a good educator, a good mentor, a course creator, whatever, if they are actually who they say they are, and they've actually done the work, it just hits a little bit different learning from someone who actually has, right? So that's one of the best things about this online education space, in my opinion, is there's so many people who have been able to bypass gatekeepers and get connected directly to the consumer and say, hey, look, this is what I've done. This is how you can do it too. And now you can learn directly from the source, right? So that's one of the things I absolutely love about this online space. So hopefully that gives you some insight to some of the good, the bad, the pros, the cons as it relates to online educators. Are some people out here scamming? 100%. Yes, some people have not done the work. Some people are just packaging up other people's information. Some people are doing whatever they can to sell you a dream, to make you think that they're driving in Lambos all day. Like, yes, that happens. No doubt about it. But don't let that, right, murkiness in the water deter you from being able to connect with people who are great at what they do, have gotten results, who have impacted hundreds, if not thousands of people, right? And you can be one of those people too if you lose the skepticism, right? Because scam for many people means still confused about money, right? And if you look at everything as a scam, you're going to close yourself off from opportunities that could radically transform your life, right? So I hope that this episode was helpful. If it is, please share this episode with someone. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Also, check out our other two shows on the channel, The Tax-Free Living. I think it's on Mondays now with Carter. And then also, of course, our flagship series, The Melanin Money Show, which is every Wednesday. And if you haven't bought your tickets to the Proof and Profits Tour, make sure you grab your tickets. By the time you watch this, we will already be on our Houston stop. But you still have LA, which is up next, New York, and Chicago. Remember, freedom is for sale if you're willing to pay the price, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.